Hi, and welcome to Teaching Moments with Marlene. Today we're going to talk about creating a good lesson plan for a live virtual classroom. I'm going to start with a few assumptions about what you may be doing in your live classrooms. First of all, I'm assuming that you're well past the point of just connecting with students, that you're actually having some real learning experiences that you're trying to address while you are live with kids. The second thing I'm going to assume is that you're keeping it short and simple and focused. I don't expect that you're on Zoom calls or Google Meet or GoToMeeting for these long periods of time, but that you're really trying to stay focused. The next thing I am going to assume is that you're assigning work to students in between these live calls or these live meetings, and that they have some opportunity to continue their learning or demonstrate how they have learned based on your live meetings through the work that you're going to be assigning them. The one thing you don't want to do is to get into a live classroom with students and to not have a plan. So it's very important, again, that we plan first and having the assumptions that we're going to keep it short and simple, that students are doing work in between. Let's dive in. The first thing, just like in all good lesson plans, we're going to set our objective or learning target or goal, whatever it is that you call it. It's important to have that identified and to make sure that it is accomplishable in the short period of time that you're going to be live with students. So it may vary from your regular classrooms because you're not seeing kids as often or you're not seeing students for as long as you normally would. So keep your learning target very precise so that you can accomplish it in the live meeting, and that there may be continued work that students are going to be doing after that. So for the lesson plan that I put together that I'm going to be sharing today, my learning target is I can work independently to complete the birthday party problem. So there's a birthday party problem that students are going to have to do after my live class, and my target for my live class would be that students can work independently after the class. So my whole goal for my lesson plan is to make sure that students can be independent. The next thing that you're going to do is plan your opener. So what are you going to do as soon as students get on the call? You don't want to not have something for them to do, because just like in your regular classroom, they're going to start goofing off potentially right away. So have something to do. Have a warm-up, have a question, a quick poll, whatever it is. In my lesson plan, I'm planning my opener that gives them a little bit of a taste of the type of math that they're going to do in the birthday party problem. So I'm asking, how much would it cost to buy 10 oranges if there are approximately 4 oranges per pound and they cost $1.33 per pound? There are two things that I want them to respond to, and one is I want them to write their answer, but I also want them to write how they solved the problem, what tool they used. And I'm going to give them a few ideas about using either Google Sheets or pencil and paper or a calculator to be able to solve the problem. And then I'm going to capitalize on that because depending on the tools that the students have used, we're going to show it in the next part of the lesson. And this is all to help us to get to that learning target. So the next thing is to determine the rest of the plan to help you to achieve your goal or the learning target. So in my lesson plan, I am having students share their work based on the opener, and I'm going to use that as a jumping off point to try to show that students that there are different ways to solve problems. For the birthday party problem, it's important that students have an idea of the different ways that they can solve it, and this warm-up is going to really help us to identify some of those different methods. The next part of my lesson is going to be sharing a Google Sheet and how I would use a Google Sheet to not only work on that problem, but do a comparison. So I'm looking at the warm-up problem as store A, I add in a store B, and I demonstrate on Google Sheets how to compare two different stores and what the prices are. Now this is in preparation again for the birthday party problem. So all of the work that I'm doing is really tied to that. in helping me to achieve the learning target, which again was students can work independently to solve the problem. The next thing in my lesson plan is that I'm going to use a 3-read strategy. So I'm going to share the birthday party problem, and I'm going to use this strategy so that all students have read the problem and understand the different pieces of it. And this 3-read strategy is really important to be able to get kids to understand what is the critical information in the problem and to help the problem be accessible to all. Using this strategy allows me to engage different participants in the class. So this is one way for me to also get kids engaged in reading part of it, in sharing what they know about the birthday party problem. So those are my activities for the main part of my class. Those are the activities that are going to set the stage for students to continue to do the work as they go off for the rest of the day. So my learning target again was I can work independently to complete the birthday party problem. I had an opener which was similar. I shared some different strategies for calculating. We looked at Google Sheets a little bit more in depth so that students who weren't familiar with that could use that as a potential option. And then we did a 3-read strategy to read the problem and make sure that it was accessible for all students. The next thing that you want to do when planning your lesson plan is what is your closing? How are you going to identify if you really met your learning target? So in my lesson plan, I'm going to ask students to do a fist to 5, how comfortable and ready they feel to solve the birthday party problem. And that's my quick little assessment. I can see it on the screen. All kids can hold up a fist to 5. A fist being I'm not terribly comfortable, and a 5 being I'm really comfortable and I'm ready to go. And I can use that information to follow up with individual students and reach out as needed to be able to provide the support so that students can be successful in solving the problem on their own. The next part that's important is to give explicit instructions about the next steps for students. What are they to do between now and the next time you guys meet? How are they going to complete the problem? In my case, how are they going to complete the problem? How should it be turned in? When should it be turned in? Making sure that everybody has that information. The last thing is to send out the information to parents and students about when this live class is going to take place. So making sure everybody has the information so they can sign in on time. And then when you do have the live class and you do implement your lesson, make sure you record it so you can share it out for students who aren't able to make it. Because we know these are very difficult times and we're all trying to address students who have varying situations at home. It's nice if you can record your classes and share it out with students who aren't able to attend. That way they can benefit from that wonderful lesson that you just created. Before you go live with your class, create the needed tools or the needed demonstrations or problems or accompanying work that has to go with your class. So it will take a little bit more than just writing the lesson plan. You have to gather your materials just like you would in a regular class and have them digitally ready. So when you're ready to share on your live call, you can do that and have them ready as part of your lesson plan. So today, I hope you got some information about how to plan a lesson, have your learning target, have a class opener, figure out what the meat of your learning is for the day and your teaching point, how you're going to demonstrate that, have a closing. Make sure your students know the explicit instructions of what they're to do before the next class, and then notify parents about when the class is going to happen. And lastly, one thing that's critically important is let students know when your office hours are or what and how they can get in touch with you in case they have any trouble. Again, my assumption is that they're going to be doing work in between and that not all students are going to be able to get it instantaneously from your short classes. So to be able to provide students with the opportunity to reach out to you and get some extra help is going to be important, and the way that your lesson plans are going to be successful. So I wish you the best in your class. If you want to learn more about teaching moments, go ahead and subscribe, click below, and check out my other videos. Thanks, and have a wonderful class.